How do you get the best out of introverts and extroverts? Now, these are terms that we have heard over and over, but what do they actually mean and how can it help you? Typically, when people talk about an introvert, it's referred to as someone that likes to, they'll typically think inside their head and they'll get energy or re-energized from time by themselves. Extroverts typically will think outside their head and get energy from spending time with other people. Now, these are just two extremes, and it's not the purpose to pigeonhole because some people feel both. There's also something called an ambivert, which sits in the middle. But for the purpose of this, I want to explain a little bit of how to spot introverts and extroverts and how to bring the best out of them in a team situation, with a client, and for yourself. So let me tell you a small story. I was working with a team and I had a problem to solve. So let me draw this problem. Let me get another pen here. I'll draw it in pink. It was a leadership development program I was running, and I said to them, I have a problem. So I'll draw that as a question mark in a box. I have a problem for you to solve, and I would like to know, for solving this problem, who would like to go straight into brainstorming and come up with ideas that way, and who would like a few minutes to think about the problem first before talking in a group. So I let the group choose how they wanted to start the problem. Now, everyone in the group then decided which side of the room they wanted to go to, and the group that wanted to start brainstorming straight away, to draw as a group of people with one speech bubble. So this group over here said, yes, whatever the problem, give it to me. I would love to just bounce ideas and think out loud outside my head. And the group that chose the other side chose, well, actually, I would like a few minutes first, and so I draw this as individual people, to think by myself, some thought bubbles. I like to have some time to think about it before then going into the group. And so what was very interesting about this, it was a leadership group, and I had previously done some personality profiling on them. And I used this as an activity to show them who had a preference, like here's my pen, for an introverted style and who had a preference to an extrovert style. So I had them in two groups and said to them, all right, have a look at your profiles, who's more extroverted? And 90% of the people that chose this side were extroverted. And those who were introverted in the personality profile had chosen to have a few minutes to think about it first. So it was a great way to show this group not only what was said on a piece of paper, but actually this is how it happens in real life. So if you're working with introverts and extroverts, there's a way that you can get the best out of them. Let me tell you a little bit about what the styles that these people will exhibit so you can spot them a bit better. So typically, and I will say typically because you can have a bit of both, typically an introvert will enjoy spending more time alone, will prefer one-on-one deep conversations than a group. They think before acting. They can be seen as more reserved, and in a group situation, particularly if there's lots of extroverts, there's judgment from the extroverts on the introverts because they don't speak up. Meanwhile, the judgment happens both ways, so don't worry. And will prefer to work independently first. Sometimes people say, well, you're an introvert, you cannot present on a topic, and that is not true. An introvert will just be more prepared than an extrovert. Typically, an extrovert may be comfortable to go and speak on a spot on the topic they don't know a lot about. So an extrovert typically will gain energy from a social situation. They might make decisions more quickly. They can be seen as outgoing and enthusiastic. And often they can thrive in this group situation where it's brainstorming. The challenges with extroverts is because they often will speak before thinking. They're the loudest voice when you're working with groups, which means we're not hearing the introverts as much, and you're not getting a balance of what the great ideas are. You're just getting the loudest ideas. And as a leader or a facilitator, that's not great. So let me show you one activity that I do to help equal the playing field between the two and get great information and feedback from the two groups. And that activity is called we draw it here in pink, the think, which I'll draw as a thought bubble. The think, pair, which I'll draw as two people having a conversation. And then share, which I'll draw as a megaphone. You'll notice by the fact that I'm drawing this and you're watching me draw it, it will actually sit in your brain a lot better. Because we interpret visuals 80% faster than anything else, this is a great way for you to remember this little trick. Okay, so this is the think, pair, share. Think. Give everyone a few moments to think about the problem by themselves. This particularly is good for the introverts and frankly for the extroverts, which I have one. It's good for us just to sit with our own thoughts for a few moments. So give everyone some time to think by themselves. The second one is pair. Not the fruit pear, but pair is in get in a pair and discuss it. This is great for two reasons. One, it gives validation because if someone's not really sure that they're on the right track for their own thinking, if you bounce it off another person, it helps give that extra moment, oh, okay, I am on the right track. Also, it's great for people that are more introverted who may not feel as comfortable speaking up in a group. They can easily share their thoughts in a pair. So after everyone shares together in a pair, then I'll open up to the whole group and say, all right, what came up in these discussions? Not what did you think, what came up in these discussions? So it takes the personalization of whether I got it right or wrong. How can we bring it together as a group? And if people have discussed it in a pair and one person in the pair is less likely to speak up, it's great because the other person said, you had a great idea, let's talk about that. And so then they share on their behalf. So this is a great activity, the think, pair, share, to encourage introverts and extroverts to share openly and equally in a group situation, and a great tip for a leader on how to be able to work with both styles of people. Enjoy. So if you found that presentation particularly engaging, one of the reasons is probably because of the visuals that I use through it, because the brain interprets visuals so much faster than text alone, and it's so much more engaging for people that are following along. So if you'd like to learn a little bit more about how this works and how you can do it, I'm running a free masterclass at the beginning of June, and in that masterclass I will talk about how the brain works, why we interpret visuals the way that we do, and how you can actually use it as well. So we'll do a fun activity in there. So sign up on the link below and I look forward to seeing you there.